Good morning, everybody. We're continuing with our employee wellness program, and we are the pleasure of interviewing Melissa and Mark Ronovich, who have been part of our program for, Melissa, just under a year. And
Yes.
Mark, how long has it been for you?
Probably about 8 months.
Got it. Okay. So give me a sense of sort of what life had been like before you joined the program. What had you tried previously? What was your sort of your weight and health history? And we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I had struggled with my weight my whole life. I was thinking back to, my earliest memory of having some kind of a weight issue. And I remember as a kid, I liked school, but I hated to go shopping for uniforms because I had to go to the, special section, which was sort of the husky sizes. And it was embarrassing. Even as a kid, I remember that pretty vividly. And so I sort of bounced around with my weight as far back as I can remember. Having said that, as I got older, it was, I tried a lot of things. But it was always kind of with an end goal in mind, like a wedding or a graduation, or there was something where I was going to be in a photograph. And I didn't want that memory to be another reminder of sort of my appearance. So I tried, grapefruit diet, Weight Watchers. I did curves for a while. I did Noom. Mark and I did Noom together. I tried low carb or keto. I did Atkins, but I wasn't ever able to maintain weight loss. It always came back because I don't think I made any kind of a commitment. It was kind of like that event. And once the event passed, whether it was a holiday or an occasion or something along those lines, I just didn't have the motivation to do it again. I just waited for the next time to come around and I would do it again.
Mark, how about you?
And for me, it's my family. My family, we're Italian, so we eat a lot. And a lot of my family is overweight. And with that goes that they are diabetic, type 2. Basically, I saw myself heading down that road. When I was in high school, I used to run a lot and I was in shape. Ever since high school, I gained a lot of weight, and to the point where I was absolutely miserable. And it hit me one time when I came back from the doctor and I saw on his chart that he basically categorized me as morbidly obese. And I was pre-diabetic. And I see my mom going through what she goes through, where she's basically taking insulin pills. She has to take 2 different shots a day, 3 times a day. And I was finally like, I'm not ending up like that. I'm just not going to. My days consisted of coming home from work, sitting in front of a television, eating a whole bag of potato chips, a whole bag of cookies, whatever was there. I just sat there and we stood at home. We didn't do anything. Now it's, before I was going to the doctor once a month, twice a month sometimes, getting blood work, ailment. Now I'm basically going once every 6 months just for a checkup. And that was the turning point for me, was just my family history and seeing that if I don't change, this is the road that I'm going to be on.
Yeah. Melissa, so you joined the program first. Tell me what you thought when you first saw it promoted at your company, and what were you thinking? Is it like, this is like going to be like all the others, or what kind of made you take that first step?
So Laitram, they do a lot for employee wellness. And we have a nurse practitioner through an on-site health center. They offer a gym with lots of exercise equipment and classes. And I work in the facilities department. So we build out projects. And so I was in charge of the projects to build out both of those facilities. And so, but I never was motivated to use either of them. I built them and then I moved on. But Laitram's always focused on that. And I saw the first cohort of my coworkers that started in January and the success they were having. And so I was interested. I also, like Mark, my family has a history of diabetes. And I was in the situation of, if I didn't do something, I was going to have to start injecting myself with insulin. And so I think it was a combination of, I saw the success that others were having, and I was in a situation where I had to do something something. I don't know if I approached it and thought this was going to be great, or if I thought I was apprehensive, I wasn't sure. But then when I started, it was different because the education was different. I think that's the piece that was missing in the past. In the past, it was more about the diet, whereas this was more about a program, a comprehensive program. And it taught me about my relationship with food and the way that I needed to look at food as just energy and fuel, and not just as something that we had to do for social occasions, or how my body interacted with food, how I reacted to food, how glucose levels really worked. It was I felt like sort of a science experiment at that point, and it was different and it was interesting, and I saw the benefits of it, and it was the easiest thing I had ever done because it made so much sense. And so for me, getting started was pretty easy. And then once the learning started to take place and the access to resources was so readily available, the support was there, the improvement in my health was almost immediate. Dr. Tro was able to find a medical condition I didn't even know that I had. I just knew I felt terrible all the time. And so it was really pretty life-changing immediately. And then, Mark sort of joined on and said, "Hey, what are you doing? How is this happening?" And I started, I cook for us. And so he was kind of eating what I was eating. And then the program was made available to spouses with the next cohort. And that's when Mark joined, and he and I really started to kind of, walk hand in hand and do it together.
Yeah. Mark, when Melissa started, were you thinking, what is this crazy diet that she's doing? Is this another one of those things?
I wish I was like Melissa, but I'm being honest. I'm very
Please.
skeptical.
Sure.
I'm very stubborn. It took me a while because we've tried so much. We've tried Weight Watchers, we've Noom, we've tried everything, and it didn't work. And when she started, I was like, "Oh, here we go again. It's another thing." But when I saw, the thing that got me is she would tell me when she would talk to the staff. And one of the things that impressed me was how approachable the staff is. I mean, I text the staff almost every day. They respond back. And I also love the fact that they were all on that same journey at one time. And, I could relate to them like, hey, I'm not just talking to a computer. I'm not just looking at on Noom, you would have these, these little digital virtual things with a computer that you would read. I'm actually talking to somebody who was in the same boat that I'm in. And Brian and I, when we talk all the time, Brian was like, "Hey, I've been there. I know exactly what you're going through. It's okay." It's like, wow. And then when Melissa showed me the website and I started reading on everybody's stories, that's when it was like, okay, maybe I should give this a try.
Mm-hmm.
And then, started eating the food that Melissa was cooking. I was like, this isn't so bad. Maybe I should give this a chance. And now it's like second nature.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I can't even tell you the last time that I've eaten fast food. I can't tell you the last time I ate something that was not good for me. And it's not, you can condition yourself, but the other thing too that I really like is they helped me understand the why. Where the other programs, it was kind of like, do this, do this, do this. Why? Well, you need to do this in order to lose weight. Now it's like I understand the why, and it's second nature now. It's all coming to me.
So it
Yeah.
sounds like sorry, Amy, it sounds like you two are such a wonderful support system for each other. And having Brian, having Amy to kind of work with you. But talk to me about other people in the program at work. Is there anyone that you work with closely, Melissa, who you've seen kind of you mentioned the first cohort. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I work from home. And I'm not in the office as much. And so for me, there's a couple of people that I hadn't seen in a while. I knew they were participating in the first cohort, but I hadn't seen them. Barbara Favre is one. I hadn't seen Barbara in a long time. And then we had a get together for somebody who was retiring. And I almost didn't recognize her. And she's known me for a long time too. And when she saw me, I had already sort of been a little bit in the program. And so she was like, gosh, what have you been doing? Like, I've been doing what you've been doing. And Greg Shank, I've known him for a while. I don't know him as well, but I've seen him and actually have seen some success he's had in the past. But this time it was just different. And I also know Terrell Ridgedale. So Terrell and I worked on a project for Hammond. And again, hadn't seen him in a while. And it was like, when I saw them, they were different people, not just physically, but their attitude was different, always positive, always friendly, but just in a different light now. Very encouraging. And it was good for me to kind of talk with them and just kind of say, hey, what are you doing? What have you found? What kind of trips, or tips and tricks are you using that? And so we shared recipes, we shared successes, we shared struggles. And it was, I think what Mark said earlier is important, the fact that you guys have been through a version of what we're going through. Having that level of relatability is different than having my, primary care physician here who weighs 110 pounds and is 5'3" and has always been that way, trying to convince me that she understands what I'm going through.
Mhm.
I'm not saying she's not trying to be genuine, but, I think that was a struggle for me because I never felt like it was relatable. She's very nice and she's very good at what she does, but the level of compassion that I think we have both seen, because you guys have been through it, and so you really do understand. It's just different when you've gone through something.
And for me, my company doesn't offer anything like this. But when I started showing results and going to the place that I work, everybody took notice and everybody was like, wow, what are you doing? What are you doing? And their impression when I told them what I was doing first, they were as skeptical as I was. And they were like, oh, this is, but I brought them things that we were eating.
Mhm.
And they were like, this isn't bad. I've shared recipes with them. And, they'll text me at night and say, I can't believe this. This is actually really good, the recipes that you're sharing with us. We thought we'd have to give up so much and the taste wouldn't be there. And they're now asking me for different things. Just yesterday, we celebrated ice cream month. And everybody brought an ice cream. And I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring them a keto-friendly, carb-friendly ice cream. And what I did was I covered the package, didn't tell them. And when they took some, they were like, this is really good. What kind of ice cream is this? And I took the label off and they were like, they were shocked. They didn't
That's
know.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
they did not know. And so now it's, like, even though my company doesn't offer this, I'm influencing them just
The
by
ripple
going to
effect.
work and they're looking at me and they're like, when I come in, they're like, how many pant sizes are you down now? How many shirt sizes are you down now? What did y'all eat last night? They're asking things like that.
That makes me
You're
curious.
going to become a health coach soon.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny because my company's insurance, what they'll do is they'll send out different like programs and say, be in charge of a group in your workplace and try to get everybody involved to take steps or to, go out and walk and hold everybody accountable. I would never do that. And now everybody's like, you should be the coach. You one in charge of us. And I'm doing it. And I'm asking them every day when I come in, so what did you guys eat last night? And they're getting tired of hearing me when they sit there. I didn't have time to cook, so we went out to eat. What did you go out to eat? You can do this when you go out to eat. There's a different there's a substitute that's good for you when you go out to eat. Yeah, they're enjoying it.
Well, we'll talk offline about maybe getting some of those people in our
Yeah,
app.
sure.
I love it. Brian, what were you gonna ask?
I actually had two things I wanted to ask, but the first one was, when you first came on, you was talking about how you was Italian and you had all
Yep.
these foods, and I know that's one of the things that a lot of people say, I can't do this because I can't eat Italian or I can't eat
Mhm.
this food. And I just want to hear from you, like, have you been able to replicate a lot of that stuff?
Yes, yes. In fact, we'll eat better things. Like it's amazing to me how much more items are in the stores and things that you guys have on your website to give us different ideas to substitute. Like, I'll give you an example. I still have my red gravy, I still have my pasta, but it's vegetable pasta. So zucchini spirals. I love zucchini spirals now. Before, I wouldn't give them the time of day. I love them now. My chicken, like Italians used to love their chicken parmesan and with the breaded chicken. And now, we have a coating that we put on it, but it's not really breading. And it's just spices and it's just as good. Bread. My daughter is going to college in culinary, and her bakery that she bakes for is now baking keto items, and she'll bring home cloud bread, which is keto friendly. And I had that the other night, and I'm like, wow, bread was the hardest thing for me to give up. And now it's like, I didn't know this existed, and it's great. And so my daughter sees the trip we've been on, and she's coming home from college now. She's graduating, and she's already told us, when I come home, I'm doing the same thing you guys are doing. I'm going to start eating what you're eating, and I'm going to follow what you guys are doing, and we're going to do this together. And my daughter, like, there was a gentleman who works at the bakery with her, and he started making keto. The other day, she brought us home some
Banana bread.
Cinnamon muffins.
Yeah.
I'm coming down.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm
my
telling you, and
goodness.
it's really good. It's really good.
We want to get that stuff shipped. I know one of the things I was going to ask you about is I know your daughter's a pastry chef, and I remember early on talking or texting with Melissa about an event that was coming up, and I, gave her the homework assignment of giving your daughter a homework assignment, and I love that it actually may turn into a business for her at some point.
Yeah, Melissa's birthday just passed, and she made us a 2-tier cake because our family was there. The top tier was for everybody. The bottom tier was for me and Melissa. And so it basically was with almond flour. It had like a lemon curd in the middle, the whole 9 yards. My family tasted the bottom part, and they said the same thing my coworkers did. We didn't think this was going to be good, and it's actually good. We will bring them stuff and not tell them that it's part of this, and when we tell them afterwards, they're surprised.
Mark, you are so sneaky. You just sneak in all these little things.
Look, and sometimes I was like that. I'm being honest. Another diet, here we go again. It's not going to work. But you know what? When I started seeing the results with Melissa, that's what changed my mind. When they see our results, I think that's changing their mind. And again, with my family being Italian, we're all stubborn. So you have to sneak it in there, and you have to surprise them. And we don't tell them, I'm getting ready to try. The people that I work with, I make white chocolate bread pudding. And that is definitely not keto friendly. But I am getting ready to try a keto friendly version to see how I can bring it to work and not tell them that it's keto friendly, and see what they say.
Yeah. I want to make sure we don't actually miss saying, what has the health impact been for you specifically? Like, how much weight have you lost? What has been the change on your health markers? Let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about the sort of the bigger picture of the impacts on your life. But
Sure.
Melissa, how about you?
I'm not sure how much I weighed when I really started, because I weighed in, but I had probably been sort of interested in looking at keto and doing things differently for a month or so, even before I started with my first weigh-in. And at my heaviest weight, I'm not sure how much I weighed because I was too embarrassed to get on the scale. So, since I've been tracking it, I've lost probably, 67 pounds. And I mean, it's life-changing. I feel so much better than I did before. I'm not tired. I have energy. I'm not achy, and I don't have pain. Dr. Tro did blood work early on and determined that I had high calcium levels. And so I actually had parathyroid surgery and didn't
I did not
realize.
known about that before. You
Did
had
not
known about
know.
that? Yeah.
No, I had joint pain. I was irritable. I was moody. I didn't feel right, but I didn't know why. And so Dr. Tro, found that in the blood work that we did at the very first visit. And
No doctor had ever tested that, found that?
no. And I had done the wellness check annually, and that wasn't a reading that was elevated. I had high cholesterol. I had high, my glucose level was high. My triglycerides were high. My blood pressure was high, but no mention of the calcium. And in the past, I had tried to just lose weight and change some eating. But again, it was short-term solutions. Whereas this time it was different because my focus was my health and mobility. I didn't want to end up like, I see my parents struggle. My dad specifically has a lot of health issues and he can't hardly move around now. I didn't want to see myself end up like that. And so, Mark and I are more active, we're walking, we're doing things. We went on vacation recently and we went to a gardens, they had 9 gardens and we just walked around and did that. And it was just great. We didn't get tired. I think that the energy level is just amazing. It's just a different quality of life than I thought was possible. I've always been kind of a happy person. I was never, I've never been miserable, if you will, with the way that I looked or the way that I felt. I just my family's French and so Mark's Italian and we live in New Orleans. And so food is a thing. And, I was just living life. I didn't appreciate what I was doing to myself with food. And so my relationship with food is different now. And it's just, again, I think it's just, I've seen it already change my life. I can only imagine as I age how much better my quality of life is going to be because I've now started to take care of myself.
Mark, how about you?
And for me, I'm a numbers person. I work in banking, so I like to see the numbers. I am down 49 pounds.
Wow.
And I have so much more energy. I don't think I've had this energy since high school. I'm getting up in the morning and I'm not just laying there wondering what I'm going to eat. We're like doing things. We're up and we're going places and we're getting things accomplished in our house. It's so amazing to me that all the stuff that I missed because of the way I felt. From a doctor's standpoint, because of the weight that I've lost, I think now I am off 6 different medications. Some I'm still on because I have to be on, some medical conditions I have, but I'm off 6 different medications. I'm not classified as morbidly obese anymore, which is like an amazing thing for me. Even my doctors that I walk into now, my cardiologist, my thyroid doctor, they're like, wow, what are you doing? And when, I tell them what I'm doing and everything, and they're like, oh yeah, Dr. Tro, he did contact me. That's one of the things I like. Dr. Tro has contacted my doctors and they all work together. Dr. Tro even contacted my eye surgeon and he's been in contact with my cardiologist. He's been in contact with my primary care physician. I mean, he's been in contact with everybody. Dr. Tro has ordered tests that they've never ordered before. And sometimes I get to the point like I'll get a text message saying you have to do this blood work from Tori, and I'm like, not another blood work, come on, another one. But I understand why.
Yeah.
And I like now I'm getting the results and I love seeing the results going, wait a minute, I used to be this way and now I'm not this way anymore. I'm kind of like seeing my results now.
You talked a little bit before, Melissa, about how easy it was once you kind of got going. And Mark, you talked about using some of those substitutes to kind of trick people. But, has there been a point along this journey where it was, I like to say this was the easiest way that I've ever lost weight, tried to lose weight, but it isn't always easy. So
Right.
what have you struggled with along the way? How have you found ways to get past that for people that may think like, I could never give up, whatever, you know.
She sabotages me a lot. She sabotages me. No, I kid with her because the things that she cooks, I think is not healthy for us. And so I'll say all the time, you're just sabotaging me. You're trying it, but it's a funny joke because she's not. And it was very hard and I was very stubborn. And there's so much different things out there. Instead of eating, Brian and I talked about this one time. Instead of eating chips, I'm coming home now and eating raw vegetables, zucchini slices, cucumber slices. And it's like I feel full and it's like I think I'm doing myself harm because I'm eating this stuff like I'm snacking, but I'm not because it's better for me. And there's, my daughter is using almond flour and I didn't know what almond flour was before this. And to me, there's no difference. We're using Swerve. There's no difference in it. I mean, it's like different things that, there's so many different substitutes out there now. It's almost easy to find. Almost all the stores have that section that you can go in there and look at. And because of the website and the way you guys have taught us, we look at, even though it might say keto friendly, we look at the nutrition facts on there,
Right.
which is something we've never learned before on anything else. And we'll look at it and say, oh, this is good, this is keto friendly, or it's not keto friendly, even though it says keto friendly. And I'll reach out to Brian when we have our talks, and Brian, I'm craving this, and he's like, well, why don't you try this might be different for you. I hated almonds. Now every time we go out, I'm getting almonds all the time. I love almonds. And something as simple as that.
I think for us, it's, for me, we have a group of friends that we go out with, and it's a dinner group. And so I think it's, that's when we've struggled, if we've struggled, or it's been more of a challenge, it's been that kind of social situation where we're going to try a new restaurant. And so Mark and I are looking at the menu beforehand, and we're making those choices before we get there. And we've got kind of plan A and plan B in case they're out of something. So I think it's just being more mindful of how to plan, because we're going to fail without a plan, and we know that. I think holidays, that the parties have been, again, if I worried that over Christmas or New Year or birthdays, or that I was going to struggle, or vacations. And I think it's about the plan. It's about knowing that we're committed to this for the right reasons. And then and his mom likes to offer food, and she's very happy if you've eaten what she's cooked. She's even started to say, hey, I made grilled vegetables for you guys, or I grilled some chicken, or I baked this meat, or so even she's kind of given into, I'm not just going to do the breaded fried options, which is great. So I feel like we've got a great support system within each other, but then also our families have really stepped up and said, they're gonna be on this with us. So I think that's important too.
That's awesome. But you've created that support system.
And now
there's a ripple effect.
Right. I think they have seen the benefit for us, and they're supportive of that. And
that ripple effect, Amy, that you were just talking about, your employer put this program in place for the employees, and you guys have changed your lives. You've been a huge support system for each other. All of these other people, I mean, Mark, you're tricking people at work. You're all these other people are being influenced and learning. What would you say to other employers who are considering this program for their staff?
I would say that the benefit that they're going to reap from having healthier, happier employees is going to be almost immediate.
Yes.
I think that, the people that I know that are on the program now, including myself, I just feel like we're more productive, even to the point earlier about health and, sick days.
Yes.
And I used to struggle with migraines and with vertigo. I think for me, it was all related to either that calcium issue I had, or the fact that I just wasn't taking care of myself. I have not had that in a year. And so I think that the employers are going to benefit. I've seen my employer benefit from employees who are just more energetic, more interested, in a better spot in life, happier, healthier. And again, I think it's a level of productivity that we didn't have before. It's like we were all unhealthy and tired.
Yes.
And now we're interested in doing good work. And I think that it's developed a relationship for the employees and the employer where we are genuinely interested in doing a good job because we know that our employer cares about our well-being. They're interested in our health. And I think that it's kind of a win-win situation. The benefits are mutual, but yeah, I've seen the benefit of the employees at Laitram and the way that we all sort of work together and support one another. And we're interested in, doing a good job for a company that's doing a good job for us. So I definitely think it's a mutual benefit.
I wish my company offered this because my sick time alone it's non-existent. I mean, before, if I didn't feel like getting out of bed because I was just too lazy, didn't have energy, I would call in sick. This past year, knock on wood, I haven't had one sick day. And
Wow.
I'm jealous sometimes because of my wife's company on them offering this. And to me, I don't think you can put a price on health. I don't think you can. And just seeing my productivity at work, at home, it's a big change. And I think more employers should offer this for their employees because it does work and it does help, and they will see the benefits of it as well. Not only the employees, but the employers will as well.
Definitely a good point with the ripple effect, even in a giant place like Laitram, because it sounds like just these few people that we started off with has had this ripple effect. And I'm sure you guys, as this program is growing and the word's getting out, you all probably, I imagine, support each other and you kind of keep in contact and spread the word to others. That kind of keeps that ripple effect going.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I didn't realize, when you asked me earlier about names, I didn't realize that I've forgotten one that I didn't know was on the program. I've seen him losing weight. He works in the same department as me. It's Joe Davidson. He started with us probably end of last year. And so he and I have been working together more closely lately. And he came into my office maybe a month ago about something totally different. And in the middle of talking, he mentioned something about he had an appointment or he was going to do something, and he mentioned Tro's name. And I said, wait, you're doing Dr. Tro's program? And he looked at me and goes, wait, you're doing Dr. Tro's program? So then it turned into a 30-minute conversation about recipes and things that his wife had found at grocery stores in Metairie that I didn't know about. And he later that night sent me 2 recipes that they've used. And so his wife has some health things going on, but he's been texting me updates about his wife, and it's just the connection is different now. We've worked together all these months, and now for the past month or so, we're sharing stories, and it's easier to work with somebody when you feel like you're on a same playing field, and you can have something different to talk about than just work. So yeah.
And the ripple effect too, again, I bring recipes and everything to work, and I'm like in charge of, my branch where I work at. I have 8 people that work there, and not counting myself, as a office, we've lost 53 pounds. And
Wow.
they are basically telling me, like, what are y'all eating tonight? What's tonight's menu? Even their husbands are like, okay, what's next? What do they have next? And at first they were even skeptical, but you give them 1 recipe a week, then it's 2. Now we're up to 3 a week. And they're texting me like, what are y'all eating tonight? Do you have the recipe? Can you send it to us? But as an office, we've lost 53 pounds. If you include me on that, we've lost over 100 pounds.
Well, we got to get those people on our
Yes.
call. So we'll talk about that. But
Yes.
one final question, and thank you so much for doing this. We really
Sure.
appreciate it. But one final question is, if you had to you had a direct line to HR executives or people that were in charge of of taking care or offering their employees a wellness program like this, what would you say to them?
I think that people looking for jobs or people, questioning whether or not they should stay with a company. I think that especially today, salary is important. I think work-life balance is important, but people want to look at benefits. I think that's been a decision criteria for Mark and I over the years, and that health insurance package, especially as people age, I think you have a different stage of life, or you're just starting out and you want to make sure you're at a place that you're going to have a good company. And a good company means different things to different people. But I think the benefit side of a job is almost as important as everything else. I don't remember that being the case, when I was looking for work years ago, but I do certainly see that now, even with people that we're trying to hire. They're interested in what the work's going to be, but they want to know about the benefits. And so I think the benefits are a focus now. I think that health in general has more focus now. And I think that people are interested in what they can do to take care of themselves. And I think that the program with Dr. Tro speaks to that. I think it is an education for people to do something that's really going to benefit them for a long time. And it's not a diet. It really is a way of life. And I think the longevity of that speaks to people. So if you can complement, a great workplace or even maybe an adequate workplace with something that comes along and offers a benefit like health and wellness for employees, I do believe that has to be something that people are going to consider and strongly consider. And I would say decide to go with a company that offers something like this over a company that just doesn't.
It's a struggle. And to me, when you see the benefit of happier, healthier employees, it's priceless. I mean, it makes you feel good. It makes them feel good. It makes them feel special, that you're cared for. It's priceless.
And I think they stay. I think that's the other thing. They're not as interested in leaving because you've sort of created that environment where they want to stay. I think Laitram's certainly done a great job of that for a lot of reasons,
Yes.
But I think this is high on the list with just the wellness side of the benefit offerings that people, they don't want to leave because when they try to find another company that offers something like we have, there aren't many, if any. So I do think it speaks to people wanting to work at an employer, but then also wanting to stay. And, employee retainage, getting somebody to work right now and then having them stay for any length of time, it is a struggle. So I think this just speaks to another benefit that is going to have employees stick around and want to stick around. And then, like Mark said, they're going to be in a better place in their lives to do more productive work.
And like I said, my company doesn't offer it. I'm jealous because it shows that the employer is going above and beyond for their employees. And that's huge. That's huge.